Today, we're dressing the Park Village Compton Crips, the Yaah Gang. These guys have been around for over 5 decades and have more than a few prominent members like Goldie, who have made the gang one of the most feared in Compton. Yeah, from known gang hits and wars with gangs like the Sons of Samoa and several blood gangs, assassinations, and known robberies around Compton, this gang, they have a reputation and history for being one of the most violent and are known for terrorizing their ops. So the Park Village Compton Crips, they definitely have a story to tell. But before we get into all that, let me get a like and subscribe if you woke up and hustled this morning. Yeah. All right. Welcome to Cali's Most Dangerous. Let's get into it.
First of all, need to unite, stop killing each other. Come together. Red rag, blue rag, man. It ain't nothing but a handkerchief that they sell in the liquor store, man. It don't make no sense, man. Back up Black Day, we need to unite. That's one.
On August 14th, 2014, Sylvester Willis, Ronald Stovall, and Reggie Hurd were hanging out in front of their house on 824 West Maple Street in Compton, California, which is in the territory of the Cedar Block Piru, a blood gang which favors the color red. Hurd, who was a college football player and also worked at Target, was wearing his red employee shirt, but he was not a gang member. The three, they were talking amongst each other and smoking when a white Nissan Sentra containing well-known Park Village Compton Crips, Lamont Killam and Eric Stalker, slowly pulls up. Once close enough, the Park Village Crip members start firing over 10 shots at the group of men. The group scatters, with Willis and Stovall running inside for cover. Once the firing stopped, the men went outside to find Hurd, who had been shot, crawling on the driveway towards the house. And unfortunately, Hurd, he died at the scene from a single gunshot wound. According to the medical examiner, the bullet had entered through Hurd's back, perforated an artery on the right side of his neck, and exited through the left side of his neck. The fatal .357 bullet that killed Hurd was recovered in the driveway. Also, fragments consistent with the 9mm bullet type were recovered from a tree, and bullet marks were found on a parked car in the driveway. 2 houses away from 824 West Maple Street, 10 expended 9mm casings were found on the ground. Bullet marks were found on the exterior of 828 Maple Street and on a post between 828 and 830 West Maple Street. And lastly, a bullet fabric consistent with the .38 or .357 revolver were found along a fence line between those properties. A detective interviewed Willis, Stovall, and neighboring residents, but was not able to obtain a description of a possible suspect. Based on surveillance videos from nearby businesses, the officer thought that a white vehicle might have been involved in the shooting. Surveillance videos taken at 12:27 a.m., several minutes after the shooting, showed a white car speeding south on Wilmington Avenue with its headlights off. But that was pretty much all the evidence they had on who had done the shooting. But all that quickly changed several hours later. Killam and Stalker were in Lakewood, California, driving a white Nissan Sentra when it crashed into a utility pole on Lakewood Boulevard and Ashworth Street. The crash was so bad that paramedics had to be called and it made the news. While one of the paramedics removed the man from the vehicle, she felt a handgun in Killam's pockets and alerted the sheriff's deputy. Soon after, a black 9mm Caltech semi-automatic handgun was recovered from the pocket of Killam's pants and a .357 chrome revolver with 1 live round and 5 empty casings from the driver's side floor door of the vehicle. Ballistic tests showed that both firearms had been used in the Maple Street shooting. In the end, due to surveillance, ballistics evidence, and testimonies from witnesses, Killam and Stalker were found guilty of the premeditated attempted murders of Willis and Hurd, and they were both sentenced to identical terms of 80 years to life. Unfortunately, Hurd was enjoying his friend's company in the midst of a deadly war going on between the Cedar Block Pyrus and the Park Village Compton Crips, and sadly, he lost his life because of this. It's an example of how this gang operates in Compton. It's some more insane stories we're about to address. But before we get into all that, we have to explain who are the Park Village Compton Crips. Danger rating of the Park Village Compton Crips.
It's my hometown. Yeah, that's my hometown. Yeah. And this is my set from Compton. And this is what I used to do. what I used to do. No more.
Okay, scars still. Huh? Still get them scars. Let me see.
Park Village Compton Crips are going to receive a danger rating of a 9.2 out of 10 based off of the gang's history of violence and brutality in the city of Compton. You guys heard one story, but trust, these guys have been in the headlines for much more than that. Yeah, if you see a Park Village Crip, nigga, this dip. I guarantee he got a stick, and you about to get hit. Bars, nigga. Nah, they have more than a few prominent members who put fear in the hearts of a lot of their enemies. Yeah, members like Goldie, who's responsible for the New Orleans Arms Massacre that occurred in the late 1990s. And if you don't know about that situation, you definitely gotta stay tuned. Not only that though, it's a lot of other insane shit that the Park Village Compton Crips are responsible for. But first, let's address who these guys are. Who are the Park Village Compton Crips? The Park Village Compton Crips, also known as the Yaah Gang or PVCC, are a street gang located on the west side of Compton, California. They use the term Yaah as a neighborhood call and even refer to the city of Compton as Yampton. The Yaah phrase may have evolved from the agricultural roots of many Compton neighborhoods when the horse population was large and Yaah was a common horse command. Yeah, take a trip to Yampton. Come see how the Park Village Crips is stomping. Now, if there's any members or anyone tapped into the streets, let me know in the comments if you know the true origins. Your neighborhood spread from Compton Boulevard to Alondra Boulevard. They also regulate the Hub City Plaza, located on Wilmington Avenue at the corner of Compton Boulevard. Within the heart of the community, there's also two known apartment complexes, the Park Village Apartments and the Wilmington Arms, which sits directly on Laurel Street, between Wilmington Avenue and Center Street. Matter of fact, they wear the St. Louis hats with the STL for Laurel Street. When it comes to attire, they're also known to wear Pirates hats, and they also wear the socks attire, this SOS. Yeah, when it comes to race, the Park Village Compton Crips have a lot of blacks, Mexicans, but also a lot of Samoans from the set as well. In addition, they have some whites who are some reputable members. Matter of fact, like I already mentioned, Goldie, he's a big name from the set. He's known for his deadly activities as he went on a series of shootings that left several injured and several dead as well. On the evening of October 8th, 1998, Damian Perry, Antoine Hebert, and Marquise Walker were driving on Compton Boulevard in Compton, California. Hebert and Walker were members of the Ludus Park Piru gang. While driving, Compton police officers stopped a car full of Bloods near Bullis Road. Because Perry, who was the driver, had no driver's license, the police impounded the car he was driving. And the police, they refused to give the man a ride, so they had to walk out of the area. While they were walking, they saw a green Cadillac driven by David James Livingston, also known as Goldie, a Caucasian member of the rival gang, the Park Village Compton Crip, and two other African-American men in the Cadillac. But they didn't think anything of it. A little bit down the street, they encountered Emmanuel Nunley, another Ludus Park gang member, sitting in front of an apartment building on Bullis Road near K Street. While talking to Nunley, they saw that the Cadillac had passed again, but this time, they turned around and approached the group. Goldie sat in the front passenger seat and Dale Brown drove the vehicle. As the car approached the Piru members, Livingston leaned out of the car and fired 8 shots from the assault rifle, hitting Nunley in the leg. After the shooting, the Cadillac entered the New Orleans Arms, a nearby apartment complex, in the territory of the Park Village Compton Crips, 4 miles away from the shooting. 5 security guard officers were on duty at the complex. Charles Shivers, Rico Armando Paz, Rodolfo Barbada, Sol Connor, and Juan Ariella. At around 11:30 p.m. that evening, the Cadillac, which was familiar to Chavez, approached the guard gate. Chavez pushed the button to let the car enter the apartment complex, and it drove through. Soon after the shooting, within about 10 minutes of the Cadillac entering the complex, Compton police officers arrived at the guard gate, asking about the car. Chavez showed the police where the Cadillac had been parked near one of the apartment buildings. The police transported 3 witnesses to the Cadillac inside the apartment complex. The 3 identified the Cadillac as the car involved in the shooting. The police impounded the Cadillac that evening, but did not arrest anyone. The failure to arrest anyone made Chavez feel threatened because he had pointed out the car to the police. He promptly quit his job and left, never to return to the site again. Yeah, bro already knew his life was in danger because the next day, Livingston approached the guard shack and threatened to kill the guard who directed the police officers. Goldie did not live in an apartment complex, but he was there often and drove the Cadillac past the post gate. Walter Arkia, another security guard at the apartment complex who knew Goldie as the regular driver for the Cadillac, testified that the day after the shooting, while he was on patrol at the complex, Goldie, while driving the Cadillac, cut him off. And he said to Arkia, "Where's the fucking cripple?" Arkia believed Goldie was referring to Travers, who had helped the police impound the car. Travers suffered from cerebral palsy and walked with a noticeable limp. The security guards, they thought everything was over. But little did they know, that deadly situation had only begun. Because a few months later, Goldie was still looking for revenge. Walter Arkia was on duty as a security guard at the New Williamson's Arms on the evening of January 2nd, 1999. At around 8:40 p.m., he observed Goldie drive the green Cadillac through the guard gate, followed by another vehicle. Both cars, they had their headlights off, even though it was dark on that January night. And neither car had a license plate. The cars pulled in and they drove towards the back. On that night, the cars were quiet and there was no beer drinking, which was unusual for Goldie, who usually played loud music and drank beer when he drove through the gate. Goldie's car entered and left by the gate about 6 to 7 times that evening. It seemed unusual to Arkia seeing the cars going slowly in and out. When Arkia's shift ended at around 11 p.m., he left. Meanwhile, 14-year-old Michelle Lopez and her mother Maribel lived in the New Williamson's Arms near the guard shack. On the evening of January 2nd, Michelle was visiting a friend in the upstairs apartments. At around 11:15, while watching television, she heard a loud screaming outside. She looked out the window and saw Goldie's Cadillac, which she had often seen him driving. Goldie, who she had often seen, and 2 black males, whom she did not know, were arguing with the security guard. The driver's door to the Cadillac was open, and Goldie was sitting in the passenger seat of the Cadillac as the 2 men were standing outside. One of the black males were cussing at the guard and saying things like, "Yeah, we're about to get you. We'll get you later." The other black man said something like, "Come on, let's go." And then someone in the Cadillac said, "We'll do it later." And when they finished arguing, they all left. At around 5 a.m. that morning, all 4 security guards were in the security shack. Connor and Paz were reading the newspaper, and Bombada and Manalino were talking. Suddenly, Bombada heard a voice say, "Motherfucker!" He looked up and saw Goldie standing in the driveway, holding an assault rifle. Right after that, Goldie started shooting into the shack. Roberto heard about 15 shots coming from a semi-automatic weapon. Roberto was shot 6 times. He was wearing a bulletproof vest. 3 of the shots went into the vest, and the other 3 hit Roberto's right hip, right knee, and right foot. Roberto, who was in the shack getting fired on, was able to fire back 1 shot from his firearm, a .45 caliber handgun. Michelle Maribel Lopez heard the shots. Maribel called the guard shack, and Roberta asked for her to get help. She then called 911. Maribel looked outside and saw 2 black men, one of whom she identified as Freddie Sanders, whom she had seen often in the New Williamson's Arms. She didn't see Goldie that morning though. Paz and Milano, they were unfortunately killed. Milano was shot 7 times. 2 of the bullets hit the bulletproof vest she was wearing. The other 5 penetrated parts of the body. Paz was fatally shot by a single bullet that went through his mouth and his neck. And Connor, who was blinded by a single gunshot wound to the face. When interviewed at the hospital about the shooting, Roberto told the police that he had seen the perpetrator often, and he was the same person who had driven by in October that the police were looking for. Roberto also gave a description of the perpetrator that matched Goldie, including the description of his tattoos. Among the items of evidence collected from the scene of the shooting were about 16 expended 9mm cartridge cases. A firearms examiner testified that with 2 possible exceptions, all of the cases were fired from the same gun. On January 5th, 1999, Goldie telephoned a friend named Rebecca and told her he needed a place to stay. He came to her house in Lancaster and was driving a stolen Lexus. He stayed overnight and left for a while. then returned to her home, where he was arrested on January 9th of 1999. When arrested, he was wearing a bulletproof vest. Also, inside a leather jacket belonging to him was a 9mm Beretta semi-automatic pistol and 3 ammunition clips. A jury convicted David James Livingston, also known as Goldie, of the first-degree murders of Ricardo Armando Paz and Ramiro Perez, and sentenced Goldie to a verdict of death. Yeah, rest in peace to Rodrigo, Armando Paz, and Ramiro Perez. They definitely got caught up in the middle of Park Village Crips' daily wave. And trust, Goldie was just one member who made the Park Village Crips so deadly and feared. This gang has several other members who belong to different cliques within the gang. Some of their cliques consist of 700 Block, which is Lowell Street, Waxside, and the Samoa Side, which has been with the gang since its foundation.
Do you have any plans of going back to Hawaii?
I ain't got no life over there.
Nothing, no happy, no.
Life for me is up here, man.
Ain't nothing fly about that, no.
I still down for that, you know,
That's where your roots are.
Yeah.
You're a homo from there, yeah?
Yeah, I'm a Samoan from Peru, right?
Right.
But now I'm living a new life in
Now
Compton.
yeah.
And like already mentioned, they beef hard with the Son of Samoa Crips, which led to a deadly situation at the Samoan Flag Day Festival on August 27th in 2004. Tasani Ta'anu, his nephew Baaz Vanali, and Ta'anu's wife and children, and about 9 members of the Park Village Compton Crips attended the Samoan Flag Day Festival. Vanali saw Polly and a companion into the festival. Vanali knew Polly and knew they was affiliated with the Son of Samoa Crips. The Son of Samoa Crips and the Park Village Compton Crips have been enemies for years, with most encounters ending in fights or shootouts. Unfortunately, on this day's celebration, the situation played out just like that. Polly and his companions immediately approached Vanilli's group and asked in a challenging way, "What's cracking?" Which basically meant, "Let's do it," or "What y'all trying to do?" Polly also shrugged his shoulders at Alex, who was a member of the Park Village Crips. Polly and his companions then said, "Let's go outside," and walked out of the festival. When Vanilli and fellow Park Village Compton Crip members emerged from the festival, they saw 10 SOS members lined up on the south side of the street. The Park Village Compton Crip members then lined up on the north side of the street, facing the SOS members. Tiana was still inside the festival though. The SOS members announced that they had straps and guns, and the Park Village Crips, they responded and said the same thing. Park Village Crip member Alex stepped into the street between the two gangs and asked for Typhoon, a known SOS member, to come out, but no one moved. Alex then asked for Dirt, which is Polly's gang moniker. Again, no one responded. About 2 minutes later, Taunu walked out into the street with his arms out in front of him and his hands up. Taunu stepped out in front of the SOS group and told him to catch a phone with Alex, and then we'll just call it a day. No need for gunplay, which meant to have a fair fight. But after Taunu had been speaking for about a minute, 4 SOS members, including Polly, pulled out guns and started shooting. Polly fired a handgun. He was about 3 to 4 feet away from Taunu when he fired. A Los Angeles Sheriff's Department criminalist concluded that a semi-automatic handgun fired the 2 bullets recovered from Taunu's body, as well as 2 bullets that hit cars parked on the north side of the street, and 4 expended casings. That gun most likely was a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson. Police also recovered live 12-gauge shotgun shells, and they found a .38 caliber Smith & Wesson revolver on the south side of the street. That gun had fired 2 bullets found in embedded cars, one on each side of the street. Polly was arrested a few days after the shooting, and in the end, through surveillance evidence, testimony from several witnesses, and the recordings of raps supposedly referencing the killings, the jury convicted Polly of second-degree murder, and the court sentenced Polly to 40 years to life in prison. Tasani's death intensified an already brutal war going on between the Park Village Compton Crips and the Son of Samoa Crip, and several bodies have been dropped on both sides as a result of the violence. Yeah, that's just one example of how the Park Village Crips and the Son of Samoa have a long history of hating each other. But recently, I found some information that the 2 gangs have been trying to make peace with each other in order to avoid future deaths and disputes with each other.
Open up with a prayer and close it with a prayer. Kick it off. Father in heaven, we come before you, we bow our heads to ask and give thanks for the following things. We just ask for your continual wisdom and support.
We're from Long Beach. Compton, Long Beach, no bueno. Right? That's Spanish, right? No good, right? But I want you to show you, right? So where he's from, right? He's from SOS. And let me show you this over here. So you can understand how monumental this is for us. They basically saying, kill it. Yeah, they don't get along.
But he's over here and there's not an issue?
Because it's because of him.
Because
he's love they have for this guy right here.
So Upu's the big OG around here.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully, these talks continue, but you guys let me know in the comments how y'all feel about this. I personally think it'd be dope to see another two gangs put its past issues aside in order to make peace. Anyways, it's a lot of the crazy shit we're about to address. But first, let's get into the history of these guys. History of the Park Village Compton Crips. Before we address the history of the Park Village Compton Crips, we gotta address a little bit of history of Compton in general. During the 1950s and 60s, after the Supreme Court declared all racially exclusive housing convenience unconstitutional, the first black families moved into the Compton area, which was followed by more middle-class black families moving into the area, mostly on the west side. Compton as a city and a minority population quickly grew throughout the decade. One reason for this was Compton was so close to Watts, where there was already an established black population. For many years, Compton was a sought-after suburb for many black middle classes of Los Angeles. The past affluence is reflected in the area's appearance. Compton's streets are lined up with relatively spacious and attractive single-family houses, and back then, most of the houses were still damn near new. However, several factors have contributed to Compton's gradual decline in terms of it being a thriving city. One of the most significant factors was a steady erosion of the tax base, which was the total value of all assets, properties, and individual income, and this is already low due to limited commercial property. Due to this, and other factors like racism and prejudice against blacks, there were many middle-class whites who fled to the newly incorporated cities of Artesia, Bellflower, Cerritos, Paramount, and Norwalk in the late 1950s. These nearby cities remained largely white, despite early on integration. This white middle-class flight accelerated in the 1965 Watts riot.
Nearly 3,000 were arrested, and authorities had to open abandoned jails to house those netted by the police. It took the appearance of 14,000 troops to bring an end to what both Negro and white leaders called insurrection by hoodlums.
Because of this, by the late 1960s, the city of Compton changed from a middle-class suburb to a poverty-stricken ghetto, damn near overnight. Also because of these conditions, small cliques and gangs began to form in Compton like the Granny Crips, today known as the Nutty Block Compton Crips. The Park Village Compton Crips started off as a close group of friends hanging out at Walter Middle School, Davis Middle School, and also Compton High School. At first, they weren't a gang. They just functioned together and moved as a family. But after being confronted by some gang members with guns in hand who were looking for the Granny Crips, they decided to form their own gang. They were formed in the Park Village apartments in around 1972, and they were some of the first Crips within their area, just with the Granny Crips and the Swamp Crips in the Carver Parks. Eventually, the Park Village Crips spread to the newly built Wilmington Arms apartments in 1976. And being one of the first Crip gangs established in the area, naturally, you're gonna have a lot of enemies. Because of this, the Park Village Compton Crips have a long list of rivals. Rivals of the Park Village Compton Crips.
It's a front hood booty over here. It's a front hood booty over here. Don't let me get the fire. We bananas can this thing. We bananas right here, west side.
When it comes to the hoods in Compton, the gangs are down there a block away from each other. But some of their gangs been smaller than the football field, so territory battles are a common occurrence. Yeah, and the Park Village Crips, they're known to go to war. You don't gotta ask who's winning, just check the score. Bars, nigga. Now because of this, the Park Village Compton Crips only have a few allies, like the Front Hood Compton Crips, the Neighborhood Compton Crips, and the Nutty Block Compton Crips. But they have a long list of rivals. Their main Crip rivals are going to be the Santana Black Compton Crips, the Palmer Block Compton Crips, and among others. Also being Crips, they feud with a lot of Bloods and Pirus in the area. In particular, the Little Park Pirus, the Cedar Block Pirus, the Treetop Pirus, the Fruittown Pirus, and the original 151 Pirus, as well as the Westside Pirus. And being the first gang to engage in warfare with Mexicans in the area, they also have a long history of beefing with the CV70s and the Compton Barrio Tortilla Flats. Lastly, because they go to war with other Samoan gangs, they're rivals of the Sons of Samoa, the Westside Carcer Pirus like I already mentioned, and the Samoan Warrior Bounty Hunters, as well as any other Samoan Blood or Piru gang. Prominent figures from the set. The Park Village Compton Crips have a long list of members who have put fear in the heart of a lot of gangs in the area. But also, I found a list of members who are no longer with us. A few of them include Big Rebo, who was a very prominent member from the gang. If you want a personal insight on how he used to live, you can check him out on KevMac videos. Also, it's 8Ball, C2, Chrome, Dante, Paelia, Tuala, also known as Old English, PK Pooh, Pooh Nelly, Ruben Gillian III, and Violet Toa. Yeah, rest in peace to them. Y'all let me know in the comments of any other members who are no longer with us, that their names live on. The Park Village Compton Crips also have several other prominent members. A few of them include Moondog, who was the first Samoan to be put on in the Grannies, Baby Gangster C-Man, Bird, Cobra, OG Tight Eyes, Cube, Psycho Mike, Chublo, Smoke, Spank, Figs, J3, Bulldog, Mac, Popcorn, Frosty, Lil Vic, Dinosaur, Big Ant, Dragon, Happy, Roscoe, Salty, and of course it's Goldie, the insane white member we mentioned a few times at this point. They also have some rappers who have put the gang on the map. A few of them include The Bully. Yeah, bro's cool. Dope flow with some catchy hooks. Y'all definitely gotta tap in. Y'all let me know what y'all think about him. That's also Dwayne Gang, Double O, Yael, and of course, it's Roddy Ricch. Roderick Rain Moore Jr., professionally known as Roddy Ricch, is an American rapper, singer, and songwriter. He rose to fame in 2018 with the single Die Young, which peaked at number 98 on the Billboard Hot 100 list. Rich's first two mixtapes, Feed the Streets and Feed the Streets 2, also received widespread acclaim. In 2019, Rich was featured along Hit Boy on Nipsey Hussle's single, Racks in the Middle, which earned him a Grammy Award for the Best Rap Performance. Look, I ain't try to die young, so I wild with one. Still 10 toes down in my Balenciagas. Look, y'all know the rest. Yeah, bro has helped maintain the West Coast relevance in terms of prominent artists. And this nigga doesn't even sound like he's from out here. Yeah, very talented individual who's put out several classic songs and albums, and he's still very new into the game. If y'all haven't already, go check out Feed the Streets 3, and you definitely will not be disappointed. But anyways, y'all let me know about any other artists if I'm missing any. Also, any of the prominent members who I might have missed or rest in peace. Let their names live on. Current state of the Park Village Compton Crips. When it comes to the current state of the Park Village Compton Crips, they're still one of the more active gangs in Compton. And they're also one of the more notorious gangs in the area, known for going to war with a lot of gangs too. Yeah, take a drive to the New Williams Arms Apartments and see for yourself. You know what? Wait, never mind. You definitely gonna get pressed if you don't look like a familiar face. Nah, they're still around and they're still making headlines to this day. Their growth can also be seen in the fact that they have spread to different states as well, like Utah. But y'all let me know in the comments if I'm gonna leave out your state. Anyways, that's it for the Park Village Compton Crips. Y'all got any crazy stories about these guys? Any close calls? Did I miss anything? Did I get anything wrong? Y'all let me know in the comments. Let's have a conversation about it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you got hoes. Y'all stay safe and dangerous out there.